Opened in 1960 by Bruton Smith and NASCAR driving legend Curtis Turner, with the running of the longest stock car race in history, the World 600. The Charlotte Motor Speedway closed before it would ultimately become the home track of so many NASCAR teams. Just a year after the first race, the 1.5-mile oval track was in bankruptcy, done in by a huge infield rock formation that ballooned construction costs far beyond what its two founders had forecast. Almost 60 years later, nearly everything is different. More than 94,000 seats ring this racetrack, which is the first speedway to install lights for night racing, the first track to incorporate a condominium apartment complex overlooking the racing surface, the first to build an office complex with the same view, the first racetrack to sell naming rights, and the first to open a year-round club where members can spectate during races and socialize with fellow club members at other times. Everything is different from 1960 except for one thing. Charlotte Motor Speedway is still owned by the Smith family. Tonight, it's race number 6 of the IROC Challenge Series, and it's next on HBR TV. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway for race number 6 of the IROC Challenge Series presented by Coles County Speedway. Let's take a look at the race details tonight. 78-degree ambient temperature, 45% humidity, partly cloudy skies, 2-mile-per-hour breeze. Track temp, 78 degrees Fahrenheit, 150 laps the race distance. Drivers are working with a full fuel load this evening, so no issues there. 3 sets of tires over the wall, 1 quick fix, 1 fast repair if needed, and 3 attempts at a green-white checkered finish if so needed, if it comes down to it. Hopefully not, but hey, they're there if we need them. We don't finish these things under caution when we can help it. That said, practice, qualifying in the books, the warm-up session just about complete. Let's go down trackside here and see where everyone is stacking out. To no one's surprise, the 3 of Brian McCann tops the charts at 29.60 seconds. Kyle Turzak, Turbo Turzak himself, 600ths shy in the second spot. Remember, he was dominant in the late model stock series we ran last season. Missed a couple of races for various reasons here so far this year, but should be a fun one to watch between the 3 and the 51 here tonight. Brandon Mefford, 3rd quick. Steve Durbin, 4th. Mike Cook, 5th fast. Just about a minute and a half left in the warm-up session. We'll get down to our starting grid here really quick. Immediately following the session, we'll jump right into that. Again, I want to say a big thanks to Coles County Speedway for being the presenting sponsor of the series. Few trucks still on the racetrack with about a minute left to go. Mefford still 3rd fast. It does appear brother Chris Mefford has joined the session here tonight. We saw him roll into pit lane in behind Brandon. Less than 10 seconds before we see the black and red flag on the session. And we'll jump right into the race here momentarily. I want to mention to you guys, too, before we get too deep into the race part of things, we got the Care for Kids 200 coming up here on October the 28th. That'll be broadcasted live here at HBR TV. Again, once again, another great cause that this series has put on just about annually here for quite some time. So if you're interested, check those guys out. IROC-series.com/care-for-kids for more information. If you can get the QR code to work in the top right corner, scan that with your phone. That should get the job done as well. With that, let's jump to our starting grid. It is time, after all. On the pole position, with a lap time of 29.662 seconds, it is the 3 of Brian McCann. Outside, front row, missed it by almost 0.08 of a second. It's the 51 of Kyle Turzak. Row number 2, it's the 15 Charity Motorsports entry of Garrett Johnston. Brent Butler in the 76 will start to his outside. Row number 3, Timmy Schofield and Chris Mefford. Row 4, it's Brandon Mefford and Steve Durbin. Row number 5, it'll be Chris Wally and Todd Kleek rounding out the top 10. The number 4 of Newt Quick will roll 11th. Jason Nilgis in the number 88 machine will start 12th. Zachary Kleek, the 77, starts 13th, with Larry Bruner to the outside in the 44. Doug Wysocki, the number 34, will start 15th. Neil Quick, 16th. Dan Pinkston, the number 22 Cloud9 Motorsports machine, will start in the 17th position, and 18th goes to the 85 of Mike Cook. It's your starting grid here for Charlotte Motor Speedway. Field rolls off the starting grid. We should be racing the very next time by. Again, race details tonight: 150 laps the race distance, 3 green-white checkers if needed, no fast repairs, 3 sets of tires over the wall, full fuel load. Air temp 78 degrees, 45% is the humidity under partly cloudy skies, 2-mile-per-hour breeze. Track temp 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, 1 fast repair available for the drivers. That is a rule change that was made midway through the season to help some of these drivers out. We'll see if it comes down to being necessary this evening at all. Field in 3 and 4 as we get ready for the green flag. Pace car pulls down pit lane. Barney with the green, ready to wave. Waiting on the command. Green flag in the air. We're racing from Charlotte. Turzak gets the initial jump to the outside. I don't know if he got there first. He may have. Hopefully that doesn't hurt him. Side-by-side battle into turn 1. Turzak settles in behind Brian McCann, closes the gap. Oh, 1 truck up the racetrack. It's Garrett Johnston in trouble. We've got big trouble off turn number 4, and a caution still doesn't come out. There it is. Real long delay before we heard the yellow flag called for. But trouble off turn 4 to complete lap number 1, and just like that, Garrett Johnston goes from, I think it was 4th, back to about 10th. It may get worse. Man, did it take a while to get that yellow to come out. Let's back it up a little bit further here, get a better idea of how this thing started. We kind of saw it start to develop. Yeah, it looks like Johnston just got loose mid-corner. Watch the 15 there in the 3rd position, bottom lane, and the rear end of the truck just starts to step out. Looked like he may have been able to hang on to it, but here you come. It finally grips, and he overcorrects up the racetrack, tries to save it. He pancakes the wall. I think at any other point besides lap number 1, I think Johnston would have been okay. So would the rest of the field, but everybody stacking up in behind. You see Chris Wally, Brandon Mefford, Chris Mefford getting tangled up, Jason Nile just getting a piece of this. Then the 45, I think that's Todd Kleek. Yep, he gets involved as well. Drivers just barely missing those barrels at the end of pit lane full of sand. Newt Quick gets tied up in it. Zachary Kleek as well. Didn't take long, but again, we do have the 1 fast repair, so if anybody had any major damage, they should be able to get that squared away before we get back underway. Those with minimal damage may want to save that fast repair for later on in case there's another calamitous exit of turn 4. So with that, we're on lap 3. McCann will be your leader. Turzak will restart to the outside. Then it'll be Butler and Schofield, Durbin and Wally, Nilgis and Todd Kleek, then Larry Bruner, Dan Pinkston. That's your top 10. That'll be Mike Cook, Doug Wysocki, Garrett Johnston, who was involved in that yellow from the 3rd spot back to 13th. Duke Quick 14th, Chris Mefford 15th, Brandon Mefford 16th, Neil Quick back to 17th, and looks like Zachary Kleek still in pit lane here. He's shown in the 18th spot. Maybe some additional damage to be repaired on that 77 machine. Gets back out there. I don't know if he's going to stay on the lead lap or not. We will have a comp caution here relatively soon, so if he remains the first truck a lap down, if he is, no, looks like he's going to stay on the lead lap. So the 77 gets back out there in time. Mike Cook in the chat, even though he's in the race, don't text and drive, Mike. He says the setup is loose tonight. We'll see. And Vincent Short in the HBR TV chat says, sounding better tonight, Steve. Yeah, I finally got all the Glenn out of my system. Partied hard down in the southern tier of upstate New York. It's NASCAR weekend. What else are you going to do? So Mike says the setup is loose. I wonder if it builds tight over the course of the run. That would be preferred. A little loose for the first handful of laps. I guess anybody can deal with. You might run into some of these issues that we just saw here on lap 1. But I think once we start to get that right front hot, might swing the balance a little bit differently. We'll see how that plays out tonight. So we'll try it again. The pace car is in. McCann right on the door of Kyle Turzak. Turzak not intimidated. McCann on the throttle. Gets the jump over Turzak this time. A much better fire off for the 3. Turzak got lucky to not catch a penalty on the opening start. The top 2, though, starting to get away already from the rest of the field. We got a battle in the 3rd spot. Brent Butler and Tim Schofield off turn number 2. They're side by side. Turzak, meanwhile, looking to the inside of Brian McCann in turn number 3. Turzak drops the 51 to the bottom, and just like that, takes over the top spot. But then again, this is Brian McCann's playhouse. We'll see what happens here. This just might be a little rope-a-dope. Let Turzak go out there, lead some laps, and then go after him when it really matters. 6 laps in here at Charlotte. Top 2, Turzak, McCann, then it's Butler, and now Tim Schofield to the outside of the number 12. Oh, trouble off turn number 2. The 45 of Todd Kleek, hard to the inside wall, but it looks like he's all by himself, so the caution does not come out. Spun down off the racetrack quickly. So Kleek, hopefully he didn't burn the fast repair on that first incident. He's going to be slow going back to pit lane. Meanwhile, battle for the race lead as we stay under the green flag. A little wiggle from Turzak as he dips the truck below the blue line in the middle of turns 1 and 2. McCann retakes the top spot. Schofield looking to the inside for second. McCann with the lead. Schofield tucks back in behind the 51. Now Steve Durbin pressuring the 12. That would be for the 3rd position. Butler is slipped back to 5th. Nilgis just on the outside looking in. Another big wiggle off turn number 2 for the 2nd and 3rd place trucks. They continue to keep the truck straight. Durbin, though, takes advantage. He's looking to the inside of Tim Schofield, middle of 3 and 4. They're side by side off turn number 4. This for the 3rd position. Schofield carries the run out of the corner, keeps the truck almost a full truck length in front of the 42. Durbin tucks back in behind. Meanwhile, Todd Kleek back on the racetrack, 2 laps down after that spin and contact with the inside wall off turn number 2. It's back under power, should be able to get those laps back if we get that comp caution, and then if he's lucky enough to get another caution before this one comes to its end. Again, a little update, 100 laps the race distance, not 150 miles the race distance. We misspoke there. Back go. McCann leads Terzak. Terzak hot on the trail of the 3. This could be detrimental to Brian McCann, though, because we know Terzak's going to tuck in behind McCann, try to learn something. See if he can use it against Brian later on in this race. You know Terzak's going to pick up a thing or two riding behind Brian McCann. But the same token, I think McCann's smart enough to not show every trick he's got in his bag as he lets Terzak to the inside yet again here. Lap 11, Terzak back to the front. Still side by side, though, not able to drive around and get clear. Off turn number 2, McCann will have the run down the back straightaway. While they battle, though, they continue to put distance on the rest of the field. Very impressive to see 2 trucks side by side and still build a gap. Top 2 been side by side for the last lap. Top 5, 6, and 7. Starting to spread out from the rest of the field. Terzak edges back to the front here just by a nose in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Slides up the track. Might have been some contact with himself and McCann. Back to start finish. McCann officially leads that lap still. Terzak unable to get across the line first. But again, they remain side by side through turns 1 and 2. Will McCann keep it up top? He does. Builds that run out of the corner. Carries that speed down the straightaway, but now he can't quite get clear. Terzak tries to side draft the 3 into turn number 3. Slows the momentum of McCann just a bit, but remains side by side. Slides up the racetrack, big time contact. Terzak spins, almost gets up in the air, hits the outside wall in the dog leg, and the caution is out again. Wow. Terzak trying to get righted, and it looks like the 25 machine rolled into this as well. Not sure who that is. It's Larry Bruner. Larry Bruner should be the 44. He's got the wrong paint on again this week. Terzak's going to rejoin the field, drive away. Looks like he does have some damage as that truck appears to be dog tracking or crab walking, depending on how old you are. Man, looks like the old Twisted Sister back in the day. We yaw that thing right out, get the right rear in the air. That's a big no-no if you're going to try and do it these days, but definitely some damage on that 51. He may want to consider the faster pair, otherwise he may get stuck there for multiple laps. Meanwhile, Brian McCann has hit pit lane. Now this may be a fuel strategy here. I doubt they're taking tires just yet, but we'll watch Terzak. He enters pit lane. Yeah, you see how yawed out that right rear is. Definitely something broke or bent or both in the back of that race truck. Looks like Terzak did use that fast repair, so he'll get that truck back to new. Let's try and get a look at it. We saw it live. Definitely made some contact out of turn 4. I think McCann was trying to pinch him down. Terzak's got about a little more than a half, let's say 5/8 of a truck ahead of the 3s. He starts to come up the racetrack, but McCann holds his line. In fact, he does come up a little bit to give a little room or just run his line out of the corner, but contact is made as Terzak continues to keep coming up the racetrack, tries to save the truck. McCann gets the wall a little bit. That might have been the reason why he pit. We'll see. But you see right here, air gets underneath his truck, and it almost blows over. That's one of the things that we've seen with this newest update. The trucks do catch some air when you get them spun around backwards at the right amount of speed. So you see Terzak got the outside wall in the dog leg, and let's see when Bruner comes in. Oh, man, so there's no, I don't understand that. Caution's out right here. You see the lights on. I get that he didn't see Turzak until the very last minute, but you got to whoa up a little more than that. So with McCann hitting pit lane, again, my guess is he came down either for fuel or a little bit of repair, maybe a bit of both. It was a very short stop at 6.6 seconds, but McCann's going to restart here in 13th, which will give the race lead to Tim Schofield. So Schofield and Durbin restarting on the front row. Butler and Nilgis, Wally and Johnston, Brandon Mefford, Neil Quick, Zachary Cleek, Dan Pinkston will be the top 10. Lights are still on with the pace car here, so we're going to go another lap at least. And it looks like Chris Mefford is not only in the pits, but he is out of the truck. He may have called this one a night already. No, he's back in. Maybe just needed a new beverage. No, he's back out again. Well, we'll keep an eye on the 46. Hopefully he gets back out there. Pace car lights are out. We're getting ready to go back green here as they work on a turn number 2. So let's give it a go. Pace car is in. Schofield and Durbin to set the restart.
Green flag.
Schofield gets in that zone and fires off right away. Durbin with a good reaction. Sticks to the outside. Now they're into turn 1. Another side-by-side battle. It's top 6 drivers really all side-by-side. Durbin was hanging on the right rear of the 12. Not willing to give up and let the 12 clear him. Now they're side-by-side. Durbin with just hairs at an advantage into turn number 3. Butler drove it down to the bottom. Thought we were going to go 3 wide for a moment. Schofield slides up the track a bit, almost gets into Durbin, has to check up, loses the race lead. He might lose that and some more. Durbin starting to drive away. We're going to go 3 wide. No, Nile just tucks in behind Butler. Still the battle for the second spot. Durbin with a 0.4 of a second advantage over Butler and Schofield. They're still side by side. Johnston and Mefford come together in behind these two as well. They get away with it cleanly. Incidental contact, it appears. Mefford still working the outside. Here comes Neil Quick as well. Quick is up 9 spots. Really trucking his way forward. Tucks in behind Brandon Mefford as Mefford's still trying to clear the 15 of Johnston. Mefford goes way up and Neil Quick ain't scared. He goes middle of this, 3 wide off turn number 4. They get away with it clean so far, but we're not done. Still side by side by side. 3 wide through the dog leg. Johnston backs off just enough to let the 2 through, so they're not 3 wide the whole way around. Go to the well too many times. Bound to run into some bad luck as Brandon Mefford dives to the inside of Jason Nile just now. This for the 4th position. He gets a nose out in front. Nile just hanging on the right rear, and he hooks Mefford up the racetrack. Both drivers crash hard. Chris Wally in this as well. Brian McCann gets turned. Multiple drivers involved in this. Big time wreck off turn number 4. Vincent Short said it earlier in the chat, says a little too early for that stuff, and there's just more of the same, unfortunately. It's going to move Terzak up into P6, but man, a lot of drivers involved in this. Two big wrecks here to start this thing off. We're only 22 laps in. Mike Cook got a piece. Effort. I don't know if he's completely exited the session or what, but let's get a look. We saw it just a moment ago. Of course, we back out a little early. We'll back up a little further here. Meanwhile, the field is going to hit pit lane here. Durbin, Schofield, Butler, and everybody else. So Nile just looks like he's hanging on the right rear of Mefford. Maybe to try and drag him and slow him down, but unfortunately contact is made. Big time impact for the 83. Nile just goes up. Same situation for him. Chris Wally trying to get it woed down. He's got nowhere to go. He gets into the driver's door of Mefford. Cleek is in it. Mike Cook, Larry Bruner. Brian McCann gets turned from the right rear. Todd Cleek. Bruner bails out down pit lane. Well, it's certainly been an entertaining and exciting first 23 laps here at Charlotte Motor Speedway as we work our third caution of the night. These trucks are a little difficult to handle here on cold tires, and we really haven't run terribly long enough to get enough heat into them to do anything about it. On top of the fact, we've got some pretty aggressive drivers out there tonight, given what lap we're on. Again, only 23 laps into this tonight. Kind of want to watch this from Nilegis's roof cam. Let's try to get a look at this. And it does look like Nile just did hold his line. Yes, he did have room to his right. Did not have to take it. But it does look like Nile just moved actually up the racetrack about 6 to 8 inches. And yet contact was still made. We'll rewind this another time to get another peek at that. What I want you guys to focus on here is that line of sealer right near the X in X Alta on the hood. He comes down a little bit. And now he'll start to come back up across. Now there's contact, Mefford up the racetrack, and then both drivers with a pretty heavy impact in the outside safer barrier. So we run behind the pace car. It'll be lap 25 when we get the one to go. At least that's the guess. So pace car lights are out, so we'll get the restart the next time by. Lap 26 will go up on the board. So your front row is going to be the 22 of Dan Pinkston, Steve Durbin to the outside, then Schofield and Butler, Quick and Terzak, McCann, Johnston, Nilgis, and Nuke Quick, the top 10. And the only drivers that are in that specific order are the top two. Everybody else could have been anything. We got Zach Millett in the chat. Comments, Charlotte. I'd like a bush latte. All right, let's try it again here. Barney with the flag in hand.
Green, green, green.
And there it is, green flag back in the air. We're racing yet again. Kingston coming up to speed. Good reaction time for Steve Durbin as he works to the outside. Might get clear here into turn one. Nope, not quite. He's going to carry that momentum out of turn number two, though. We'll see the drag race down the back straightaway here in a minute. Schofield working to the bottom on the 76 of Brent Butler. Might go three wide here. Schofield taking a peek into turn three. Tucks back in behind the 22. Durbin retakes the top spot. Now the battle for the second position. Pinkston and Butler out of turn number four. Looks like we've got through cleanly. And here comes Kyle Turzak. Turzak in the fourth spot, but not for long. Working around the outside, going to drive around the 22. Butler comes up the racetrack. Little arrow block, slow the momentum of the 51. Hang on to that second spot for the time being. Turzak drops it to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to look to the inside. Butler closes the door down low as well. Back to start finish. Durbin, Butler, Turzak, the top three. Pinkston slips to fourth. Schofield fifth. Neil Quick running in the sixth spot. Brian McCann's worked himself back up into seventh. Garrett Johnston, who had troubles very early on, in the eighth position. Jason Nilges, Chris Wally, the top 10. Top three drivers single file and putting distance on fourth place, Tim Schofield. Turzak still stalking the 76. Butler made a little mistake, drove below the blue line there, sent him up the racetrack a bit, allowed Turzak to close the gap. On board with Brent Butler. Turzak through to the inside. He'll take the second spot. And Schofield's going to try and take advantage as well. He gets to the inside of the 76. He'll take the third position, but now Butler's going to battle back off turn four. They're side by side through the dog leg. At the line, I think Butler may have had it, but we don't pay any points for third place on lap 31. Off turn number two, they're still side by side. Schofield and Butler down the back straightaway. Just want to clarify with everyone, we may have already burned that comp caution that we talked about. If the regular caution, a legitimate caution for cause, comes out within proximity of the comp caution, many times they'll just call it, all right, this is it. This is our comp caution. No need to add another one in 2 laps. Could be corrected on that, but for now, I'm guessing that's the scenario. Schofield a little loose in the middle of turn two, has to tuck back in behind Butler. Durbin and Turzak still 1 and 2. Butler third, Schofield fourth. Neil Quick up to fifth. Brian McCann going with him. In behind them, Garrett Johnston and then Jason Nilges. Nilges trying to hold off Dan Pinkston. Almost some contact there. It looked for a minute with Chris Wally. Wally gets through. He clears Nuke Quick and Pinkston. We got a battle, a 3-wide battle for just a moment. Pinkston having trouble hanging onto that truck on a turn number 2. Drops it down to the bottom of the racetrack. I don't know if he's got a problem or if he got in the wall. We may have seen him hit the wall in the dog leg a couple of laps ago. I'm still not sure if that's the case, but he's down on the flat of the racetrack. Oh, he gets the wall again and real fast into pit lane, hits the pit wall. He might be calling it a night. Yeah, I think he might be done. And there it is. Exits the session, and oh, he's back in it though. Back in it, back out. Meanwhile, Durbin still leads about 3 car lengths, 4 truck lengths, that is, over Kyle Turzak. Remember, Durbin picked up the first win of the season here at Daytona International. Looking for that second win on this season. McCann, he's got 2 wins already. Auto Club and last week at Pocono. McCann running in the 6th spot. Again, this seems to be his playground. Just like that, Turzak takes the top spot away. I didn't catch it. I might have been looking at timing and scoring there, but did Durbin get the fence? Gonna have to go back and look at it. Yes, he did. Off turn 4. 42 of Steve Durbin pancakes the wall. And that's what opened the door for Turzak. May not have hurt the truck too terribly bad as Durbin continues to run in the 2nd position. Now about 3.5, 4 truck lengths off the tailgate of the 51. So Durbin 2nd, Schofield 3rd, Butler 4th, Neil Quick still back in the 5th spot. Just biding his time, taking care of his stuff, but Brian McCann, he's got a mirror full to Garrett Johnston as McCann drives it deep into the corner, closes up on the 2. I think Johnston's going to drive up to the back bumper out of turn 4. Now they're through the dog leg yet again. Let's ride on board with Garrett Johnston. Listen to the throttle as he gets out of turn 2 here. We heard him spin the tires just a bit off of 4 a minute ago. Let's listen again. Sounded good out of 2. Listen for the RPM spike as he gets off the corner in 4. We'll see if the tires spin. The RPM will come up. Yeah, just a touch. Not a lot. Just a tiny, tiny bit. There's a little bit of a bump there in the exit of turn 4. Gets the back end of the truck a little bit light. If you're under power, it will spin those rear tires just a hair. Turzak now almost a full second over Steve Durbin as we watch this battle now between Johnston and McCann. McCann hanging out of the 6th spot. Johnston just a truck length off. It gets closer on the exit of these corners. McCann charging into the corner, Johnston backing his up. That's why you see kind of that seesaw back and forth as McCann gets away into the corner. Johnston closes the gap on exit. The way that essentially works is McCann's driving the truck deeper into the corner. He's not lifting at the same time as Johnston, so he's getting deep, deep, deep in the corner. Then he's going to lift off hard. But with Johnston lifting early, he can get back to the gas a little bit sooner than McCann, which allows the 15 to close the gap on exit. The thing is for McCann, though, he's able to slam the door on the 15, so Johnston has not yet been able to get alongside and really apply some serious pressure for that 6th position. We'll see if that changes as these tires begin to age. Again, 3 sets available over the wall for these drivers. I think the majority of them did take first set on that last caution. So I think we're into that first set of 3s. Still got 2 sitting over the wall. Meanwhile, Schofield making a move for position has caught Steve Durbin for the 2nd spot. Butler is sticking with him, so 2nd, 3rd, and 4th here in the frame. Durbin way up the racetrack. Schofield hangs in the middle and Butler on the bottom. Butler now to the inside of Schofield. He found an opportunity to get alongside as Schofield still trying to take the spot from Steve Durbin. Tell you, this place is narrow, but it's still 3 wideable. Little loose for Schofield on a turn 2. He has to chase it up the racetrack. Slots in between Durbin and Butler. Butler's going to go back to the whip here, looking low in turn 3. Terzak's loving it as he's a 2-second advantage now on the rest of these guys. Butler almost through, still not clear. Schofield working the middle high line. On board with Steve Durbin in second as these two battle for third and fourth behind him. Butler finally gets into the third spot. Now he's looking to the inside. Might be looking for more. Wants the second position, and he may have it. Side by side out of turn number 2. Butler with the run. Clearly showing that he had the pace over Schofield, but Schofield was just doing a good job holding him up. So Butler goes from 4th to 2nd. It does appear that all the lead lap trucks made a pit stop here at lap 22. I think the majority did take their tires. Larry Bruner, it's not sure. We took a 37-second stop for the 44. Likely some damage repair, but possibly tires as well. Mike Cook came down, 5-second stop, but he has made 3 stops tonight, so there's that chance that he did bolt on some tires. It's one thing I wish iRacing would update and add that element in for the broadcaster side of things to show how many sets of tires have been consumed within the session. One can dream. Certainly make my life a lot easier, seeing as how I'm the only guy here. We don't have a pit reporter or anything like that. So Butler, since he's gotten into that second spot, he is beginning to reel Kyle Terzak in. In fact, last lap for Butler was a quarter second faster at a 31.50. Terzak was a 77. Remember, the advantage for Terzak was well over 2 seconds not that long ago, and it slimmed down to 1.9. Durbin hanging out of the 3rd position. Schofield still 4th. Neil Quick, however, has started to close this gap, but Brian McCann is free falling just a bit. Remember, he was battling. Oh, Durbin's in the fence. Durbin in the wall here. I think it was off of turn number 4 and in through the dog leg. He's going to lose a bunch of spots and slide back to P7. Meanwhile, Mike Cook back in pit lane. I don't know if this is a planned stop or if he had another issue. We're just about past halfway. So 4 tires and fuel for the 85 machine. Drops the jack down and away. Can't get the traction out of the pit box, but it's back in action. So still out front, Kyle Terzak, but the deficit is shrinking between the 51 and the 76. Butler starting to catch Kyle Terzak, 1.7, 1.69, and falling as the laps tick on by. Very surprised, though. I don't know if Terzak's just saving his stuff or if Butler did a better job. Kind of got to wonder, though, with the battle that the 76 had with Schofield not that long ago, how much heat and damage he may have put into those tires underneath him. Doesn't seem to be hurting him too much at this point, but we'll see if Terzak's got anything in reserve as he closes the gap. Oh, Terzak in the fence off turn 4, scrapes the right side in the safer barrier. And I think Terzak might have a problem. He lost a ton of time, almost 3/4 of a second, in fact more. Terzak got the wall off turn number 4. That perspective, it didn't seem like that big of a hit. And Schofield's in the fence off turn number 2. So Schofield's going to fall a little bit through the standings here. He may be coming to pit lane. We'll see. Meanwhile, Neil Quick still running in the 5th position, in behind Nilgis and Johnston. Crafty driver behind the wheel of that number 2 Miller Genuine Draft Machine. You talk about a guy who can close out a race. You won't hear from him or see anything fancy about him for 90% of the race, and then all of a sudden he's in your rearview mirror knocking on the door for the race lead with 10 to go. This now the battle for the 3rd spot. Johnston right to the back bumper. We'll say that battle has allowed Neil Quick to close the gap. On board with Neil Quick as he tries to hunt these two down. Nilgis in 3rd, Johnston in 4th as we ride on board with the 5th place machine. Looking further down the racetrack, there's only about 3 or 4 truck lengths now between Terzak and Butler as he's closed the gap to less than 4/10. This battle certainly picking up between Nilgis, Johnston, and Quick. But furthermore, back out front, Butler has caught the race leader, Kyle Terzak. Just 1 truck length between the two as they battle into turn number 3. Butler closes it even closer. Now it's a half a truck. Terzak slides up the racetrack. Difference between 1st and 2nd was just a few feet there at the start-finish line. Butler drives it way deep into the corner. Terzak to the bottom of the racetrack trying to get some left turn out of it. Drives it below that blue line. It certainly helped him turn for the moment. Don't do that on new tires. See him again dipping that left front wheel just onto that blue line in the middle of the corner. Definitely helps that truck rotate just a bit. Stick with this battle for the race lead. We'll ride on board now with Brent Butler as he tries to take the top spot from Kyle Terzak. Butler was able to reel him in from quite a ways back without issue. Little mistake out of Terzak certainly helped the situation for the 76, but real loose on exit as Butler might have got the wall, but definitely had to correct the truck out of turn 4. You saw him turn the wheel to the right. You never want to see that on an oval. Oh, and here comes Butler to pit lane. Oh, and he loses it. Loses the truck coming to pit lane. Waited until the very last second to hit the brakes. He does not hit anything. Certainly got lucky there, but hopefully he's changing tires because he just wrecked his set. So Butler, trying to be sneaky about it, comes to pit lane. The other question is, did he get slowed down while he spun without taking the penalty? That's going to wash his night away if he got caught speeding. We'll see what happens here with the 76. If they drop the jack on the left side here, If he sits there and doesn't pull away, he got nabbed. And somehow he gets out of there without trouble. Certainly not ideal. Butler's back out there. Back to the race leader now, Kyle Turzak ahead of Jason Nilgis, who's worked himself up into the second spot, 1.4 seconds back from the 51. And here comes Turzak to pit lane. Johnston's going to join him. Much straighter entry for the 51 compared to Butler. We'll see how everything cycles out as these drivers have now begun their first round of green flag stops. A little chaotic early with the yellow flags, the first 22 laps or so. Seems that everyone's gotten it handled. Turzak into the stall, Johnston the same. Oh, Turzak has to back it up just a bit, so he has a little mistake as well. Very uncharacteristic of Turzak. Got to keep in mind, Turzak is lights out fast in the late model stock, but that series is not really known for its pit stops. Talk about sprint races in most cases. So competitive pit stops, somewhat new, I would imagine, for Kyle Turzak. He still has the talent, still has the pace, but that might be a part of his skill set that he might want to think about. I think the rest of the competition would hope that he doesn't, because, man, he is quick just about everywhere we go. It doesn't matter what kind of car it's in. Meanwhile, Jason Nilgis, your new race leader, he's taken over the top spot since Turzak came down. Quick to second. Chris Wally third. Wysocki and Nuke Quick top 5. But Nuke is also in pit lane. He's pulled down his number 4 F-150 into the pit lane. So right sides go in the air for the 4. So 4-tire change for the 4 of Nuke Quick. Nile just remains out on the racetrack. As it is right now, it's the top 5 drivers that still need to make a pit stop. They last came down at lap 22. The final remaining holdouts. Brian McCann made his pit stop at lap 57, so he's a little bit off sequence from everybody else. You see in the timing tower, 7th on back, a lap down or more. Mike Cook in 85 trying to get a lap back the old-fashioned way. He gets to the inside of Nile, just slides up just a bit as he gets to the bottom of the racetrack. He's got fresh tires on there, should be okay. Just got to worry about that truck getting a little too loose. So Nile just enjoying a 1.1 second lead over the 2 of Neil Quick. Again, these drivers might be in a situation where they're just waiting for the caution here. They've got such a lead. Again, the top 7 drivers now on the lead lap. Everybody else a lap or more down. While we got an opportunity, let's take a look at the point standings tonight. This was coming into this evening. It was McCann, Johnston, Mefford, the top 3. Mefford, of course, locked in to the playoffs. He's got 1 win, so that explains that side of it. Adam Benefield and Mike Cook, 4th and 5th. You see the rest of them up and down the line. Durbin also locked in. He's in 15th, but he's got a race win, so that's the biggest issue there. This will all change quite a bit here as far as the numerical standings are concerned as this race continues on with some of the drivers that are already out of this thing. And here comes the race leader, the 88 of Jason Niles, just going to pull down pit lane. Fuel certainly no longer an issue for anybody making pit stops to this point. You can definitely go to the end from here. So that's going to give the race lead over to the 2 of Neil Quick as he takes over the top spot. Durbin gets around and gets clear. He's going to try and get a lap back. He does. So it's Quick, Wally, Bruner, Nilgis, McCann. Again, Nilgis still sitting in pit lane here. Right side tire change. Crew goes around to the left. Jack underneath. 4 tires and Sunoco Race Fuel for the Jason Nilgis number 88 machine. Down and away, 15.6 seconds to stop for the 88. And Neil Quick from the race lead. He's in the pits. Now turn the lead over to the 75 of Chris Wally. Wally in the RS12 Esports machine. Stays out on the racetrack and will lead another lap. We do need to get an HBR TV side-by-side break out of the way here, but we're going to hold until everybody finishes out their green flag stops. The two holdouts, Chris Wally, Larry Bruner. When they come down, McCann will inherit the top spot, but at what cost? He was the first one to start his round of pit stops. He came down lap 57. Also taking 4 tires. And Wally slows it, the 75 machine into pit lane. So Larry Bruner stays out. He's going to pick up a lap lead as well. So 4 tires and fuel for Chris Wally. He drops the jack, 15.02. And now Larry Bruner comes down to pit. Again, Bruner here on the racetrack has the number 25 AC/DC machine, but in the timing tower, he's listed as the number 44. Typically would be in the 44. This is, I think, our second week in a row we've seen a wrong paint scheme on his truck. Hopefully we can get that squared away for next week. Bruner in the pits. Oh, has to back it up a hair. Oh, has to go forward a hair. So Bruner's going to lose some track position for that minor mistake. Doesn't take much, especially under green flag conditions. We go back out front, though. Top 2 is Brian McCann, Kyle Turzak, Brent Butler. Butler, even with his mistake, running in the 3rd position, but Turzak, same situation. He didn't really spin into pit lane, but he did have to back up the truck in the pit box. 25 laps to go. McCann, Turzak, Butler, Johnston, and Steve Durbin, the top 5. But with that, though, we're going to take this opportunity to take our first and only HBR TV side-by-side break. Stay with us. We'll be back after this.
I met Marcos Garza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Charlotte Motor Speedway, 18 laps to go. Brian McCann still leads by just over 1 second over Kyle Turzak, but that is shrinking. Every lap, Turzak just a tick faster. Last time by it was, well, 3/10 exactly. Turzak faster than McCann, and we've got 17 left. Just for a little comparison here, McCann made his pit stop for 4 tires at lap 57. Turzak came down at lap 63. So there's the lap differential, the tire age differential between these two. They've been so evenly matched in just about every series that they have run. Turzak had the leg up over McCann in the late model stock series. It seems to be flip-flopped here in the truck series between these two, but Turzak with the tire advantage. If this thing stays green to the end, he's going to catch the 3 of McCann. Will he get by? That's a different story, because as this race continues on, those tires will continue to age. Now it's 6/7 of a second, 16 to go. And on board with Turzak. Watching the truck of Brian McCann there, exit turn number 2. He's definitely got that thing hung right out. Back to the stripe, 14 laps to go. Turzak closes to within half a second. I guess the question remains is how aggressive will Brian McCann be in defending that position? 13 to go. It's now 3/10 of a second. Turzak has really reeled in 3 here with that tire advantage late in this race. 2-3 truck lengths between the 3 and the 51 as they work down the backstretch. Now Garrett Johnston, he's in the 3rd position with just as fresh tires as Kyle Turzak. Then Brent Butler and Steve Durbin, similar but not quite. Butler came down lap 61, Durbin lap 62, but all 4 of those drivers with better rubber underneath their trucks than the race leader Brian McCann. Still 3/10 the advantage over second place. McCann enjoys that here with 12 laps to go, but still 3 truck lengths between the top 2. You got to wonder about the dirty air between McCann and Turzak. Is that affecting the handling of the 51, or is his tires finally starting to equalize in comparison to McCann? Last lap, Turzak was still faster, but certainly not as much of the margin we saw early on. It was less than 1/10 of a second differential between the top 2. I guess the question remains here, is anything, either one of these drivers saving anything at this point? Certainly fuel not a concern for anybody at this stage. Johnston running in 3rd. Brandon Mefford has taken back to the racetrack. Unfortunately, Mefford 56 laps down. With 10 laps to go, it seems that McCann has found another gear as he starts to put more distance between himself and Turzak. It's down to just a hair at 3/10 of a second. Now it jumped back up to about 4/10. Oh, and Zachary Cleek spins into pit lane. He's well off the racetrack, so the caution will not come out. I don't know if he was trying to get onto pit lane, and that's where he ended up, or if he was spinning and ended up in pit lane. We'll see if he comes to his pit stall. Cleek into his box. Uses the quick fix. Right side tires going on to try and get all he can here at the end of this. Meanwhile, back out front, McCann still with the lead, still maintaining a 0.3 of a second advantage over Kyle Turzak as the laps continue to dwindle. Less than 8 laps remain. Turzak second. Johnston running in the third spot. Befford just having a good time out there with 56 laps in the rears. Once again, stretches it to over 0.4 of a second over Turzak. Back to start finish, 6 laps to go. Turzak now losing more ground. It's 55. Well, 5.5 back from Brian McCann. If Turzak's not careful, Garrett Johnston's going to reel him in and apply some more pressure. Wow, Mefford running real high out of turn number 2, barely off the wall. I think he's just trying to experiment a little bit. Johnston has caught Turzak. We'll see if he applies the pressure. McCann continues to drive away from second and third place. Schofield, who battled up front early, he's going to go down a lap. Oh, some contact maybe here as Johnston applying pressure to Turzak. Wants that second spot here. We got 5 laps to go. We got a great battle here for the second spot. Johnston goes up the racetrack, going to try and build a run out of turn 4. Turzak knows it, slides up the track to block the run. Into the dogleg, 4 laps to go. Johnston goes to the outside, now switches up to the inside, takes a peek down low, but nothing doing just yet. Another lap truck of Tim Schofield. We'll see if he gets out of the way of this battle, or if either one of these drivers uses the 12 as a pick. 2 lap trucks sandwiching the 51 and the 15. Schofield slows down Johnston just a bit, but quickly goes wide to try and give the 15 some more room. 3 laps to go here from Charlotte. McCann now out to a 1.3 second advantage as the battle for second continues. Turzak maintains it for the time being. Does Johnston have anything left in the tank for him? Right there, thought about going to the bottom, goes back to the top side of the racetrack in turn 3. Now he works the middle. Turzak goes up the racetrack again to block the run. Dump a little bit of dirty air on the 15 truck. Back to the line, 2 to go. Johnston pushing Turzak into turn number 1. A little loose for the 51. Johnston goes up the track yet again. Will he have the run out of turn number 2? Big wiggle from Turzak as he's up the racetrack and in the fence. Turzak spins a little bit, locks up the brakes, but continues on. Do we get a caution? And there it is. The yellow flag comes out. McCann now through turn 4. The question will be now, with overtime looming, who comes to pit lane for that last set of tires? Who has the last set of tires? That's the real question. See if we can get a look here with Kyle Turzak just a moment ago. Rewind this just a bit further. So watch the 51. Does he dip the left sides below the blue line there? Yep, and there we talked about how getting the truck down in the flat, it can be difficult because it can over-rotate, and it sends him up the racetrack as the truck definitely got loose. Put him in the path of Johnston. Johnston makes a little bit of contact as Turzak's trying to save it. Turzak gets the fence. Now he's continuing to save it down the back straightaway. Turzak wisely locking up the brakes to avoid a pretty significant impact of that outside wall. But unfortunately, it reduced his momentum to such an extent that the oncoming traffic, iRacing through the yellow, and, well, there you have it. We're under caution yet again. So there it is, McCann in the pits. Looks like everybody decided to do the same, so nobody going to stay out and try and gamble with this. 4 tires and fuel for Brian McCann. Terzak sits just in behind. Johnston drops the jack. He fires off. He's going to restart now to the outside of McCann. We go back to the green. Terzak's going to get away here in the 7th position, but I just don't know if he's going to have enough time. Tim Schofield coming to his pit stall. Does appear Jason Niles just may have stayed out, but again, he's in a position where he is a lap down. Appears he's the first truck 1 lap down, so he would be the recipient of the lucky dog if he was not involved in any part of that caution, which I don't believe that he was. Looks like 4 trucks are going to get a wave around here when we go back to green. We're on the 1 to go, that is. It'll be Mefford, Bruner, Zach Cleek, Jason Nilgis. All going to take the wave around here as we get the 1 to go the next time by. We've officially surpassed regulation distance. We're on lap 101 of the scheduled 100 laps. Our first attempt at a green-white checkered finish. Again, we are set up for 3 attempts, if so needed. And for those of you that don't know, the way this works is green flag comes out. Field performs their restart as normal. Then the next flag is the white flag. And then the flag after that is the checkered flag. Now, if things happen chaotically before the leader takes the white, caution would come out. We'd line them up and try it again. We'll do that up to 3 times, this being the first try. So if you're a Kyle Terzak fan, you want this to go to all 3 green-white checkered attempts because he's going to have to pick up a couple of positions on each restart to be in contention for this one. He's going to restart, looks like about the 7th spot. So interestingly enough, I think Brandon Mefford may have had the wave around, but he opted to go to the rear instead of driving around. Again, he's not in a position, I don't think he's going to gain anything. The next position up is Chris Mefford. He's still shown in pit lane. I just don't think there's enough laps left in the race for Brandon to gain anything, or is he changing his mind here? Really not sure what the 83 is doing here. He had an opportunity to go around early, but dropped to the back. Now he's going to take the wave around, or is he just going to go to pit lane? I don't know. Maybe Mefford has realized he's got no more positions to gain and no more to lose. He might be calling it a race. That appears to be the situation. So there we have it. Pace car is in. Front row, it's going to be Brian McCann and Garrett Johnston. Then it's Durbin, Quick, Butler, Wally, Quick, Terzak,
Flag.
Cook and Wysocki. Green's back in the air. We come up to speed. McCann gets a killer restart. Yo Quick to the inside of Garrett Johnston. Steve Durbin pressuring the back of the 15. Brent Butler there in between. Terzak might have scraped the wall off turn number 4. He rides in behind Chris Wally. They're in turns 3 and 4. McCann out to a 3.5 advantage over the rest of the field. Coming through the dog leg, a little wiggle from Neil Quick. Everything seems okay. White flag in the air. Final lap from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Johnston hangs on to the second spot for the time being. Steve Durbin runs third. Remember, these guys are all on new tires yet again. McCann's got this one well in hand. Just needs to get back another half a lap and battle for the second spot. Durbin jumps to the inside of Garrett Johnston for the position. Into this spot, turn number 3, side by side for second place. Meanwhile, on to turn number 4, Brian McCann's going to take the checkered flag and pick up yet another win here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Second place, Garrett Johnston. Steve Durbin comes home in third. Brian McCann back to the front stretch here. Going to celebrate at the start-finish line. Do his celebration here through the Legends Oval. Too bad they put that wall there. Well, just like that. This one's in the books. We're going to step aside, get a break out of the way. We'll be back with our top 3 finishers after this. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws Late Model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Marco Scarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Charlotte Motor Speedway, race number 6 of the IROC Challenge Series in the books, and Brian McCann picking up race win number 3 on the season. So 3 wins, 6 races. Brian McCann, it's Steve in the booth. You got me?
I do.
Brian, congratulations, man. A solid run, of course. You come to Charlotte Motor Speedway, one of your favorite places to run. Showed off your ability level for sure. You had older tires compared to everybody else behind you. They reeled you in for a little while, but then you had an extra gear. You drove away, but then that caution comes out, and everybody comes down and gets a new, fresh set of tires, and then we have that green-white checkered finish, and you drive away from it. What is the secret to this place? I know we always ask you that question. You never really give us a straight answer on it, so come on, help us out. What's going on?
Thank you for asking. I ain't gonna tell you, but yeah. Early on, I had some damage, so it put me like mid-pack or whatever, and under green flag pit stops, I got my quick repair, and pitted early, yeah, like you said, but just went out there and managed tires. But one of the neat things about pitting early was I had clean air, so I wasn't burning up that right front, and I could keep that right rear under control. And right rear seemed like you had to really keep it under control, otherwise it just get too hard to drive on me.
Definitely seemed that Turzak was able to reel you in relatively quickly, but when he got within 3/10, it seemed that dirty air really seemed to affect his truck. He in turn had some issues there late in this race, which put us under that caution on the backstretch, but fresh tires altogether. Turzak was able to restart in 7th, but wasn't able to reel anybody back in. I know early on in the runs, these tires were very, very difficult to get underneath the truck, not really into the racetrack, a very loose race truck. How did you handle that here on the early stages of each run? Because I know we had some issues early on in this race.
Really just leaned on the right front a little bit more, because you just wanted to protect that right rear. No matter what you did, the right rear wore more, so I just have to protect it. And then on the short runs, in the dirty air, there's not a lot you can do. Once you're back there, it's horrible. The clean air is just king.
Well, you held these guys off for yet another win here at Charlotte. We look forward to Atlanta Motor Speedway next week, and we're on the new layout at Atlanta, so a super speedway style event. How do you plan to attack that race next week? Maybe pick up win number 4.
I'll probably drive it like Daytona or Talladega race. Probably going to be more of a strategy race than anything else, so that's what we'll plan for when we go into it.
All right, Brian. Well, again, congratulations. Who do you want to shout out to?
Yeah, my family, league admins for putting us on, sponsors for making it happen, you for doing the broadcast, drivers showing up every week, great racing, everybody watching, thank you.
All right, Brian. Well, thanks for talking to us. Congratulations again, and good luck next week at Atlanta.
Thanks.
Brian McCann, your race winner here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Next, we're going to talk to our runner-up driver, the number 15 machine. That's none other than Garrett Johnston. Garrett, it's Steve in the HBR TV booth. You got me?
Yes, I do.
Garrett, congrats yet again. We continue to keep chatting with you week in and week out, but still a second-place finish. I know it's not too shabby, but, man, you're really itching for that checkered flag. Walk us through your race. What could have been different for you? I know McCann's really fast at this place, but last restart, everybody's got the same equal strength tires. Was there anything you could have done differently to reel him in?
No, I knew it was what he was doing. He slowed down a little bit and started in first, and I knew it, and I seriously considered doing it as well, but I didn't trust myself not to spin the tires, so I already wrecked the field once this race, so I figured I'd play it a little safer this time and just take what it gave me.
Well, let's back things up here. You talk about wrecking the field once already. Well, let's go back to that early race incident. You had a little bit of a tank slap there, chased it up the racetrack, thought you were going to save it, then the overcorrection up the track it went. What was it like in the cockpit of that number 15 machine on that first lap? I know these new tires, when they are new, not quite up to temperature. They're a little bit of a handful.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally on me. I just, you get in the pack there, and it just kind of takes the air off your tail, and like you said, just kept chasing it, and finally just tank slapped the outside wall and took about 5 cars with me, and I own up to it. It's all on me, and what can solve that is me not showing up about 5 minutes before the race and doing some practice laps.
See, I got to say, this is not the first time you've mentioned that in the broadcast side of things, but maybe you throw some practice in and you might end up in victory lane. You've been awful close a lot this season.
I know it. I tell myself that every week, and then it gets about time, and I'm always doing something, and it ends up happening the same exact way it happened the week before, and I end up talking to you second instead of first. So maybe next week, and I'll keep telling you that until it happens.
Well, speaking of next week, we go to Atlanta Motor Speedway, the new layout. We just talked to Brian McCann about that. Kind of run it like Daytona or Talladega, because that's kind of how that place plays out. But it's a mile shorter in length, so things happen a bit faster than we would normally expect them to. And truthfully, unless you're really horrible at drafting style tracks, I don't know how much practice is going to do you good next week. So what is the mindset coming into Atlanta next week?
No, I mean, you just got to treat it like you do any other restrictor plate track, and leave it up to chance and hope Lady Luck is on your side, and just hope to be there towards the end. I'll probably see myself to the tail until a little bit later just to stay out of trouble, but we can only wait and see.
That's all we can do. Garrett, congrats yet again on the second place finish. Who do you want to thank?
Yeah, thank you guys for putting it on. Thanks to Chris Wally for throwing this together every week, and always a good time on my Monday nights. And thanks to everyone watching at home. Hope they enjoy it as much as I do. And thanks to all the guys over at Charity Motorsports. If y'all out there are doing some iRacing, be sure to check out the charity race with them coming up later this year. It's for a great cause. So, and we will see you guys next week.
All right, Garrett. Well, thanks for talking to us, man. Good luck at the ATL week from tonight.
All right.
Garrett Johnston, your second place finisher here at Charlotte. Steve Durbin next on the hit list to chat with. Driver the number 42 machine picked up the race win here at Daytona to start the season off as we roll into Atlanta Motor Speedway next week. Another drafting style track. Might be a little bit of good luck for Steve Durbin. We got him in the booth. Let's talk about this race and we'll get into the next. Steve, Steve in the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir. How are you?
We're doing good, Steve. Congrats here. A solid top 3 finish here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. You started back in the 8th place. Walk us through your race. How did you work your way through that field, as the dirty air was a bit of an issue tonight, certainly on cold tires made things even worse, but how did you work your way through the field to finish here in the top 3?
Well, I had a little bit of luck to start with that first accident, cleared somehow, but then just tried to take care of the tires and wanted to lead laps early, which I accomplished, but ran a little too hard at first, burned some stuff up, and then kind of pitted early to make up some ground and made it up there, and then just kind of, I don't know, Dodge survived the rest from there. Once we had that caution, it bunched everyone back up, and I was going to push Garrett as hard as I could on that restart, and it worked out.
So with that pushing a little bit too hard, I know we talked about early in this race how the trucks were extremely loose on fresh tires. How did the truck build as far as the setup was concerned? Did it build tight? Did it get a little bit easier to hang on to throughout the course of the run?
To me, it built tight for sure. It was loose for first 2 or 3 laps, and then it tightens up pretty quickly, and especially at 3 and 4. 1 and 2 is not too bad, but long run, yeah, you have to back it up for sure and conserve your tires. You're going to just burn them up.
Well, as we mentioned here, you got the win to start the season off at the Super Speedway. We go to Atlanta next week, which is kind of like a mini Super Speedway, but it kind of plays out very similar. Do you expect good things next week at Atlanta?
I absolutely do. I love the drafting tracks. Of course, Daytona, I thought was a little lucky, but I always run good. So I'm looking forward to Atlanta for sure.
Well, Steve, yet again, congratulations on a 3rd place finish here at Charlotte. Who do you want to thank before we let you go?
The IROC Challenge Series, Chris Wally, and the HPR TV for putting this stuff on, and then everybody showing up. Of course, we can't do it without the drivers, so thank you guys.
All right, Steve. Well, thanks for talking to us, man. Good luck next week.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Steve Durbin, your 3rd place finisher here from Charlotte Motor Speedway. That's going to do it for our interview portion of the broadcast. Let's take a look here at our official race results. We talked to Brian McCann, Garrett Johnston, Steve Durbin, your top 3. Brent Butler was 4th. Neil Quick drove it up to a 5th place finish. Solid run for Chris Wally, even though he was involved in some incidents here tonight. Still managed a 6th place finish. Kyle Terzak, a little bit of bad luck there late and early, but man, he had a strong truck here tonight. Showed some pace for certain, but a 7th place finish as the result. Mike Cook was 8th. Timmy Schofield finished in the 9th spot. Nuke Quick finished 10th. Doug Wysocki was 11th. Larry Bruner 12th. Jason Nile just 13th. Todd Kleek was 14th. Zachary Kleek 15th. These two seems to finish right next to each other every week. Doesn't matter if it's the top 5 or the top 20. Doesn't make a difference. They seem to be right there with each other. 14th and 15th. Chris Mefford was 16th. Brandon Mefford, the brothers, finished 16th and 17th. And then Dan Pinkston out of this one early as well, finishes in the 18th position, 74 laps down. So that'll wrap it up for us here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Certainly, if you haven't already done so, go ahead and click the thumbs up on the broadcast if you liked what you saw here tonight as far as the broadcast side is concerned. YouTube.com/@HBRTV1. Share it with your friends. Let us know what you think. Turn on those notifications so, well, they're notifications. They let you know when things are happening. So that's a plus, especially if we all have busy lives, because most of us do. This way you don't miss a moment of the action. I also want to point out yet again, we talked about the upcoming race here in October the 28th. It's the Care for Kids 200. Again, for a great cause. These guys continue to put this on. The Charity Motorsports guys partnering with IROC to get that done. Check out iroc-series.com/care-for-kids for more information, or scan the QR code at the top right of the flyer with your phone. I think it's big enough to make that work. If not, obviously just go to the website. It's going to be the trucks at Michigan Speedway, 200 miles, 7:30 p.m. in the east. Practice goes up, then an hour later we qualify, then we got a short warm-up session, and then 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time, we drop the green flag on the Care for Kids 200, the 4th annual Care for Kids 200. So make sure you guys check that out. It's always a great race. Again, I've been in it. They really pack the field out. It's always an awesome race. The trucks at Michigan is a blast. It doesn't matter who's in it. It's going to be a good thing. Again, a positive across the board. It helps a good cause, and it's a good time. It's really a win-win. Again, a $15 fee to enter the race. Additional donations are certainly welcomed. I'd say that's a bit of a steal. They usually have prizes and things like that. So check it out. Again, iroc-series.com/care-for-kids for more information. Again, that's about it for us here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We have Atlanta Motor Speedway next week here Monday night at HBR TV. IROC Challenge Series continues on for race number 7. Again, drafting style track at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's the new scan. I have a feeling iRacing is going to need to scan that place again pretty soon here as that track continues to age and weather. It's slowly becoming a little bit less of a drafting track, but that's neither here nor there. Next week, we'll be drafting. Very similar to Daytona and Talladega, just about a mile shorter in length, though. Certainly going to be entertaining. We look forward to it, and that's really where we're at. So, again, thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Congratulations to Brian McCann on the race win here tonight. We'll see you guys at the next one. Thanks for watching.
You under my skin, closing up to the edge, and a story to spin, set to enter the stage. You think you know, oh, time to roll. You under my skin, closing up to the edge, and a story to spin, set to enter the stage. You think you know, oh, time to roll.
How about it?